The moment I woke up that morning, I had no idea my entire world was about to turn upside down. My name is Sarah, and for the past 5 years, I believed I had the perfect marriage. My husband, Mark, was caring, responsible, and the kind of man every woman dreams of. But there was one thing I never saw coming: his obsession with control. It all started when I reconnected with an old friend, Daniel. We had known each other since college, and he had always been someone I could talk to about anything. When we met again after years apart, it felt natural, comfortable. He was charming, funny, and a good listener, something I had been missing for a long time. My husband, always busy with work, never noticed how distant we had become. Or at least that's what I thought. One evening, Daniel invited me over to catch up. I hesitated. Not because I had any bad intentions, but because deep down I knew Mark wouldn't like it. Still, I convinced myself it was innocent. Just two old friends talking. I spent the night laughing, sharing stories, and feeling alive in a way I hadn't in years. But what I didn't know was that Mark knew exactly where I was. He had been watching me the whole time. The next morning, my phone buzzed. A message from Mark. "We need to talk." Now a chill ran down my spine. How did he know? What had he seen? And what was he going to do next? My hands trembled as I stared at the message. Mark never sent texts like that. So direct, so cold. 1,000 thoughts ran through my mind. Did he know where I had been? How? I forced myself to breathe, but my heart wouldn't slow down. Quickly, I got dressed, grabbed my things, and said a rushed goodbye to Daniel. He could tell something was wrong, but I couldn't explain. My entire body was tense as I drove home. The closer I got, the more my stomach twisted. When I walked through the door, Mark was already sitting on the couch, his phone in his hand. His face was calm, too calm. "You had a good time last night?" His voice was even, but his eyes told a different story. My mouth went dry. Yeah. I caught up with an old friend, I said, trying to sound normal, but I could see it in his face. He knew. For a moment, he said nothing, just looked at me, his grip tightening on his phone. Then he turned the screen toward me. My breath caught in my throat. There on the screen was my location from last night, a red dot, Daniel's address. "You forgot, didn't you?" His voice was quieter now, almost disappointed. "The app, the one we installed for safety." I felt sick. Months ago, after hearing stories about missing people, Mark had suggested we install a location-sharing app on our phones. It seemed harmless at the time, just a way to make sure we were always safe. But now I realized this wasn't about safety. It was about control. "You tracked me?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. "I didn't have to," he said, shaking his head. "You gave me permission, remember?" I wanted to argue, to tell him this wasn't fair, but my own words from months ago echoed in my head. "It's just a precaution, nothing serious." That's what I had told myself when we installed it. But now, the way he was looking at me, it was clear. He wasn't just checking in on me, he was watching me. "Why were you there all night?" he finally asked. I opened my mouth to answer, but the truth felt complicated. Could I tell him I had stayed because, for the first time in years, I felt like someone truly saw me? That I had laughed, talked, and felt more alive in those hours than I had in my own home? I hesitated for just a second too long. That's when his expression changed. Mark's eyes darkened as he studied my face. He was waiting for an answer, but I didn't know what to say. The truth, that I felt something missing in our marriage, that for one night I had let myself forget the distance between us. Saying it out loud would only make things worse, but lying wouldn't fix anything either. "I fell asleep," I finally said, my voice quieter than I wanted it to be. It wasn't the whole truth, but it wasn't a lie either. Mark exhaled sharply, shaking his head. You expect me to believe that? His grip on his phone tightened. You spent the night at another man's place and didn't think I'd find out. His words stung, but what hurt more was the way he said them, as if I had betrayed him, as if I had done something unforgivable. I wanted to remind him that Daniel was just a friend, that I had never crossed any lines, but deep down, I knew that wasn't the real issue. This wasn't just about last night. It was about everything that had been building between us for years. Why were you even checking my location? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. You never do that. Why now? For a second he hesitated. That's when I realized he hadn't just randomly checked. He had been looking for a reason. You've been different, he admitted, his voice lower now, distant. Like you're here, but you're not. He ran a hand through his hair, frustration clear on his face. I had a feeling, and I was right. Guilt and anger twisted inside me. He was right. I had been distant. But did that give him the right to track me, to treat me like a suspect instead of his wife? You don't trust me, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. Mark let out a bitter laugh. Should I? His words hit me like a punch to the gut. I wanted to yell, to tell him he was being unfair. But deep down, I knew this wasn't just about what happened last night. This was about everything we hadn't said to each other. And now, with the truth out in the open, I wasn't sure if we could ever go back. I took a deep breath. Mark, this isn't working. We don't trust each other anymore. His face hardened, but he didn't argue. The silence between us was louder than any shouting match could have been. I think we need time apart, I finally said. He nodded slowly, his jaw tight. Maybe we do. And just like that, the life I thought I knew came crashing down. There was no dramatic fight, no accusations, just the quiet realization that some things, once broken, could never be fixed.